Hi guys, it's Al from Altruistic Channel, and this particular video is going to be kind of dedicated to kind of a formal introduction into who I am and kind of guides you into the perspective that I speak from for the Altruistic Channel on YouTube and LinkedIn and other outlets. Essentially what I wanted to do with this one is kind of introduce you to who I've developed into. I've been kind of absent for a while. I've been analyzing and kind of meditating on everything that has kind of happened up until this point. But understanding that there's a much larger part of my life about to begin, actually from the moment this post's on, I thought it would be important to kind of reintroduce who I am. So I am a perspective and communication strategist, and what I do is I offer people, whether individual or companies, the ability to train themselves in their executive levels or them personally on how to sit in space of something else or someone else to come to better understand what the motivations are or what perspective is that would be driving them to act in a way that is outside of your norm. And the reason I found this to be very important is because of my own personal belief system. And so, though it's usually told not to kind of divulge everything personal, I find that for myself, I don't abide by those rules, and that the world at large is kind of changing. And the honesty is something to be done freely. It's something that you actually endeavor to do on a day-to-day. And so they're going to merge, and so I figured we might as well come out with the declarative so that everybody's on board as to what I'm talking about. So anyone who knows me personally knows that I've had a very trying life, from rape, molestation to having to be in a cult for a very long time, and the fact that the cult has never had to pay for their sins, or the fact that my mom died as a result of being part of that cult, and it was a very painful death for her, leaving me an orphan by the time I was 26, and then getting heavily into drugs and so forth, just as a survival mechanism, and to finally getting out of that and to the process that you see now, which is me being kind of like a reckoned. It's hard to deal with me at this point because I don't allow for foolishness in my space, and as I go forward, I have even less tolerance for lies or bullshit. So it comes from a place of warmth and love. I just find that for myself and who I am, my path in this world and my soul's purpose have aligned themselves together, and so I find that though I love everyone equally, at the beginning, I do see really quickly beyond the veils. And I know the moment I meet you, whether you're lying or full of shit. And so it's something that I thought would be interesting to train, because it's not that I have it's not based on any of the superior intellects. It's like, it's actually based on your body language and being, having the right perspective and looking at someone and all of them. Listening and looking at the same time. So, these things that we take for granted that we think we do, I can show you that you don't. And the training process is offered to those who are even applying it towards a larger market, like consumerism and any of that type of market share. But in order to do it, sometimes you have to come clean on where you're coming from. And so the guy that had all of that bad stuff happen has forgiven it and let it go. And the man that stands before you is a lot clearer on who belongs in my life and who does not belong in my life. And though I've been in a meditative state, I will not judge anyone else, even though part of my INTJ personality is to judge. It's not judgment of you, it's judgment of things, to come to a firm decision based on what they know. And here's what I know. I don't know shit. I'm not some guru. I have no intention of being anything I'm not. I'm just someone that is brave enough to tell their truth and stand by their truth. I find faith to be of the utmost importance for all people, and so whether you are Catholic and believe in God, or whether you are a Christian, or whether you are a Jew, whatever your faith is, I find home with you because I understand the value of your belief system. And so Altruistic Channel's purpose has now become aligned with my own and my soul's purpose, which is to spread the idea that we need to move towards a collective manner in which to deal with the world at large. There are major issues that are around us: global warming, education reform, things that have to do with society as a whole, that we are stuck in a muddied water state where we've created so much bullshit in between what we need to do and actually even being able to engage what we need to do, that it's become almost impossible to actually have vested interest. And so, although perspective training is kind of geared more towards consumerism and so forth, it is something to look at in your own personal life. You know, topics like the controversial are not lost on me, and we will engage them, but it will be coming from a place of love as opposed to a place of intention. One of the biggest things that I've learned in my life is that when you lead your life from a single focus, looking for the finite instead of the more withdrawn, you can't find answers beyond a certain point because you become blinded to everything around you. And so some things have come to fruition, and they start from now. One, I don't know anything more than anybody else, but I just know that for me, I believe in something called the collective consciousness. And I believe that we are striving towards a better world through uniting ourselves in our common beliefs and goals for humanity. Instead of living as an individual, let's live as humans, as a collective, as a group. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to still be an asshole, because I'm not a nice person to begin with. So, having said that, have that in mind. I don't believe in a utopian society, because utopia cannot exist. If it did, that would mean, if you think of it rationally, that you would always experience perfect bliss. So then that would mean that anything that registered to you would be of a negative kind. And in fact, the only thing that could happen to you in that world would be something so traumatic that it would jar you out of that reality, because otherwise you would just be experiencing the same bliss. That's not of interest to me at all, because it means that I would only ever experience darkness, because that would be the only thing that registered in my mind as different, and I would be bored out of my fucking mind. And what we know about humans and the human mind and our souls is that if there's no drama, or if there's no something to learn from, then we don't exist. So thereby, I don't really believe in a utopian society. And I don't see the world through black and white. I see the world through colors. There's no such thing to me as good or bad. With everything that I've been through, it just proved to be a blueprint to who I am now. You know, I have not forgiven in the sense that I forgave the acts. Like, I still loathed the church, and I specifically had to let go of my father in all of this, and I'm actually better without it. I'm no longer worried about the money that they owe me for the damage they've done, because I've had to evolve, and I've had to learn that it literally was something geared towards my becoming a leader of some kind. And though I have no idea what that is, because I have no pretense that I'm something important, I do see that I do serve a grander design, and my alignment with my purpose is to guide leaders and to engage the conversations that make people uncomfortable. And if you agree or disagree, that's not my business. I really don't care what your opinion is of me or about me. I've never cared about that. Anybody who knows me says, I struggled for a long time with why people were attracted to me and why I was so popular as a young person. Because anybody who knows me knows also that I don't necessarily find myself and my attributes attractive. And it's not saying that I'm not attractive. I'm just saying that I understand I'm attractive, but I'm not attracted to the aspects that I have, which is dark eyes, dark features, and all of that. I'm more drawn to the light, towards, men that are light-skinned and blue or green eyes with, light dark hair or below, I don't engage the world in the way that you see things, and I've started to realize that maybe that's not a bad thing. Because now the person that you see before you is kind of different, and it's part of my altruistic nature. I don't need to be $100 million into the wealth process. Why? I just want to be comfortable in this world. I don't want to struggle with money because I have grander design in my mind. I don't care whether or not you agree with me all the time, but you need to be open to the idea that others can be right at the same time as you are. Remember, perspective is subjective. Perspective is just based on your personal interpretation of the stimuli around you, and is 100% just you. The idea that you have all the answers is ridiculous. You can't, because in this world, that would not be possible. No two brains process the information the same way. So, to that end, why the hell would I care what you think? It doesn't matter to me. I'm not focused on the problems. I'm focused on solutions, and that's what a leader does. I understand that we may disagree as to how we got there, whether you're Catholic or whether you believe in ascension or you believe in awakening process, which I do, is irrelevant to the people I'm trying to reach. The people I'm trying to reach are the business leaders and people who want to redefine how they do business because they see the consumerism has changed. It's geared towards loyalty towards entities that actually are philanthropic, but not just a statement, but actually doing stuff. And that all begins with perspective and perspective training. It's the only thing I can offer you that will it's a standalone quality that you may need to integrate. You're only as limited as the limits you put in front of you. This world is so expanding and always changing, and it's constantly evolving to a place of good that at this point you'd be a blind person not to see that you need to start aligning yourself with your mission as a company or as an entity with the goals of society. Because we are moving away from this self-indulgence. That was a great time for you. That particular market is now moving on. The baby boomers are leaving, and in place are exennials, which is my generation, the leaders born before technology that still have honest recollection of what it was like before the cell phone. And when we did have a cell phone, when it was first introduced, we sure as hell didn't carry it around on our phone. We had pagers. And then we were the first to actually have to deal with the technology and adjust to it. And we are the silent ones. You cannot define us by most people. And most markets have not even dealt with us yet because they don't understand how to. We were born between 1976 and 1984. It is the last generation that will live on this planet that will have honest recollection of the history and heritage of what it was like before technology happened. That's not by accident. And I find a lot of leaders that are coming out of the Xennial generation are going to become very important. But enough about that. That's more into the awakening process and so forth. It's no secret that I also, in all of this initiation into whatever will come next, I endured some things that maybe a lot of people would not be able to. I almost killed myself, and that didn't work. And I've done a lot of things that you may find questionable, but that's nor here nor there. It's my journey, and I stand behind my journey, because without it, I can't be the man I am. And so as I go into all of this, understand two things. One, I've never promised to be nice. Just because I've ascended, meaning that I've gone from one dimension to the other in my belief system, doesn't mean that I don't value survival and that I will somehow be complacent on if you attack me or specifically my loved ones, because I am probably one of the most ferocious people on the planet, because I do understand that the grander design is more important than an individual, and that includes me. So if I become successful, it can go away any minute, and I'm okay with that, because that's not my mission. My mission is to expose you to perspectives that may not be yours. An altruistic channel is dedicated towards leaders, not followers. So if you can't lead your own path or you can't create your own way of being, then you may not be suitable to be on the channel, because this is for people who understand that they create everything that they encounter, and everything that has happened to them is partially a responsibility of their own. They chose things that led them down paths that did not end well. That is at some point not just the world doing something to you, it's something that you did to yourself. But understanding that takes a long journey, and you have to go through some shit that you don't want to deal with. But when you get through it, or as you go through it, there are going to be people like me who have gone through it before you, who have no answers. The best I can do is offer you this. I can guide you through your personal belief system, whether it be with God or whatnot, because I do value faith in every regard. It's a rainbow. It's like a spectrum. Everyone who has faith, I believe in, because they have faith in themselves. Because without it, you can't believe in anything. If you're a man of science and you believe that it's just evolution, well, then how did evolution start? There's always a starting point. And for the conscious, the conscientious, and the conscience to exist in us, something was introduced, and you have to believe that in science. And until you find that answer, you should probably allow others to believe in their beliefs, because it gets them from day to day. Things like hypocrisy, I will still stand against, and I will rally. How dare society tell drug addicts who are dying that they are not allowed to take drugs, but you can take it in pill form. It can make you more dependent and literally kill you more painfully than what you originally were going through. Great. Or how about holding back this really smart kids that are very, very advanced in certain intellects because of the emotional well-being of the people who can't? Well, that doesn't work, because you're holding everybody back. How about we re-gear that and focus on the kids who are lacking and find their intellect and guide them in that path, so that they become the aerospace engineer that we were making fun of in shop class because they didn't understand anything but that abstract stuff. These are things that we should be engaging. And as I go forth, that's what I'm going to try to do. But make no mistake, I still value the fact of survival, and I'm still going to protect myself. I just may have looked at it through a different perspective. And that's all I offer, is the fact that whatever you believe in, you have become conscious of the fact that something has changed in our reality. Kids are killing other kids, and they're doing it at an alarming rate. Societies are crumbling, and the people that we thought were enemies are actually becoming friends. And then we have people in White Houses that should not be in the White House, but yet somehow still exist. And instead of looking at the fact that he's there, maybe look at what he's doing there. Because if anything, he's just proving to be a distraction. What is he distracting you from? Let go of these can't pass moments where you are arguing with yourselves about the same topics. If you are pro-life, then you are pro-choice if you're the same woman who drank while having the baby. Hello? You're choosing to possibly make that life not work the way it was meant to. That's your choice. But it's also a woman's right to choose if she has the baby or not. There are laws passing right now that say that if the heartbeat is going, I can't tell you on your personal belief system, but if the heart, in my opinion, is beating, that is an entity. But that's not something I'm going to make you believe in. I'm just logically looking at a situation. I will never tell another human being what they should do with their body, because no one on this fucking planet will ever tell me what to do with mine. That's just basic. I don't engage these conversations anymore. So just understand that. If you're going to bring stupid shit to me, then have a solution for it, because otherwise I'm just going to ignore you. We have much bigger things to do in the world, and part of me is dedicated towards advancing us in that way. I may not be the best mouthpiece for the awakening process or the ascension process for that matter, because it's a dark path, and the things that you will encounter will be so disastrous and so hurtful that you will be destroyed. But at the end of the day, my confidence is unbelievable, and my sense of peace is beyond scope. I met my twin flame and had to let him go. And it was one of the last phases things that I had to do. And I got to tell you, it's never hurt more than ever. Because I had to understand that just because we're meant to be doesn't mean we're meant to be right now. You don't get everything you want in this plane. Whatever this experience is about, whether it's matrixy, which by the way is the same thing as God, because God would create the matrix, a self-sustaining entity that holds us and guides us, but without actually getting involved in the, quote, experiment. That is what the matrix is. So whether you are a man of faith or a person who just believes in a matrix society, they're the same thing. Also, as a general rule, if you don't want to have conspiracy theory, may I suggest answering the initial question? Because I found that even by saying something as simple as, I actually don't know the answer to that, let me look at it, will alleviate most conspiracy. Whether or not there's an Illuminati, that's a ridiculous question. Of course there's somebody in power that controls things. Because we can't even figure out whether we should spend $500 million on lottery tickets on the 1% chance. We choose very badly on a regular basis. Anybody who's honest with themselves understand that. That doesn't mean that we can't check them, but we have to acknowledge the fact that they may be acting like mommy and daddy. Not always looking like they're doing it in our best interest, but actually doing the best to keep us alive. These are all perspectives. And as a business, you have to start factoring these in, because your public persona is no longer private. It's now up to the public. We want to know who we believe in, and we want to know who we give our money to, because if we don't agree with you, we don't align ourselves, with who we actually are going to be. So then we're not going to be your consumerism. And we're also built on a generation like mine, the new generations of Xennials and Millennials, that see through your bullshit, because we're born to you. We were kids or your brother and sister. And so we are absolutely still pessimistic, but we have the opportunity to make it a better place. And so it starts with people like me. You may not like me, that's fine. I love everybody equally. I don't hold anybody in higher regard than anyone else, so I will always stand against any bully or anybody who wants to make someone a secondary citizen. You have never now nor will ever be more important than me, and vice versa. Everybody's equal in this plane. And if you want to know more about the ascension or the awakening process and what it means, feel free to look into it. I'm not telling you you have to. I'm just introducing you to who I am and where I'm at. There's someone that's watching me from a distance, I don't know who, that probably is someone very important to me. To those contacts, then this is who I am and what I represent. I don't know who you are, it's just an energy I feel, and a very strong sense of pull towards you. I will know you the moment that you approach me. I understand that, it's part of the oneness, and that's something that you cannot teach someone. This process of awakening and getting through the ascension process is a personal battle. It's a path to God himself, or the entity of energy that you come from. I can't tell you how it's going to go. I can tell you that for a lot of us, it's been super dark. And for a long time, I struggled with whether I was going to lead anybody through it, because it destroys your life. But how can you better understand the world at large and what your role is than to have everything that you believe in shaken? You have to be able to stand behind your convictions. And so, to that end, like I said, I will never believe in a utopian society. I do still understand the role of anger. I understand the role of indigo children and rainbow children, if you will. That's the titles that the New Age gave them. I understand the process of life, and I understand that the government is not a bad entity. If you're interested, then you might want to learn a little bit more about the awakening process. It is possible and very, very accurate to say that if you disagree with me, you still can be right, and so am I. And so understanding to bridge those gaps is the first stage of this whole new wave of things that are unveiling themselves. I will not edit my stuff. I just don't believe in it because I can then be subjective. I will be subjective, and I will change what I originally intended to be. And if anything, through this process, I've learned that what is. So that's all I wanted to say. And so if you find me on the Facebook, my personal friends, this is what basically you're getting. And I won't engage an argument about it. If you have questions that are productive, then I will engage it. I'm not saying that I won't deal with the negative, because there's going to be a negative everything. And I'm okay with that. But again, just realize I have boundaries, and my boundaries are very firm. Don't make it of a personal nature, and don't go after the loved ones, because once you do that, remember that I have been the quiet one observing you. I have watched everything that you do, and I know who you are. And I will go after that. Boundaries are important for every soul on this planet. So understand and value that your boundaries are usually reflective in them. Don't pick off more than you can chew. But having said that, I'm also the same person who will guide in light. I'm no longer anywhere near interested in negativity. I don't want it in my life. I don't see it as a purpose anymore. I've let that go. I also have no feelings of ill will towards my father. He's free to do as he wants. He knows what he's done, and that's all I can do. His path will be a dark path, and that's his, not mine. So understanding all of that is kind of the process in which I've kind of come to. And so as you look at Altruistic Channel, understand you're going to see a lot of me, but in a new light, because I see a lot of you in new ways, and I think that you're awesome. I think that a lot of you are amazing, and I never actually looked at how far you are ahead of me, or how far you've come, or I will find out more about you. But I do promise one thing that's very personal to me. The autistic community, I understand you, and I'm going to find a way to communicate with you. I know in my heart and in my soul that you have answers we need. And so trust me, I get you. And the moment you see me, you'll probably register who I am, because it is aligning with my sole purpose, which is to lead leaders of every type. We have questions that we need to answer. As we do all of this, what happens to the old people that do not want to engage in a better world? There are people that are so fearful that they won't get out. All of these questions we will deal with. But first, it begins with my introduction. So you'll notice that once this posts, everything will move kind of quickly, and I knew that, and that's what I hesitated. I was fearful of engaging the next phase, but I'm going to believe in the universe and believe that they know what they're doing, and this is the first step. If you're holding out on me and were worried about I couldn't handle any of the press or any of the stuff that might come my way, trust me, I'm ready. My whole life has been geared and tempered so that I can be able to handle what I'm about to engage in, and that's that I believe in us. And we as people, as individuals, have the capacity to make this world a fantastic fucking place, but it starts with being honest and getting through a lot of the muddled waters, and that's what we're going to do on Altruistic Channel. So that's enough about me. I sound like I'm preachy, and I'm not. I'm actually one person who you will find said if I find an answer, or you present me with an answer that makes more sense than mine, I will freely go, oh, okay, let's do that, because this is a journey. I don't have everything, and I begin by saying I don't know everything, but I know that I had to play a part in it, and whatever this turns into, I started it. I started it from the day I was born. It was meant to be. And so I just know that if you're watching this, then you probably were meant to see this. And that's all. So that's what Altruistic Channel is going to be more and more presented of. And so please engage it the way you want. You can subscribe to Altruistic Channel at any time on YouTube. I will also be gearing a little bit more segments towards LinkedIn and Facebook to people I actually care about, and to my business contacts. A lot of you, I find you intriguing, and I will reach out to you in different ways. I hope you do the same to me. It starts with subscribing, so I know that there are people who care. But moreover, I think I just wanted to make it declarative and make it known to the universe itself. I am ready, and that's who I am. I'm just a guy who's trying to make the best of it. And I only know the answers to my personal journey, but I can give you perspectives that you may not have. Other people are involved in the world, and not just us. And though we are the kings and queens of our universe exists in a larger scale than you possibly thought. And there is a way for all of us to exist at one. So let's find that path. And that's all I wanted to say. This is Al for Altruistic Channel. That is my declarative sentence for the day. Please check in for the rest of the day, today and tomorrow, and you will find out a lot more as to what I'm engaging or what we're talking about on the channel. All right, later. And as always, I always ask this: have you made a mistake today? Later.